Hello everyone, welcome to Grow Up Level Up, an interview podcast where we talk to folks about the fun and games that helped us grow up. I'm Samson, and in this podcast, I do interviews with people and explore the childhood games, whether it's video games, tabletop games, playground games, and more, that helped them grow up and had an impact in their life. I also talk to them about the types of games and fun experiences that they choose to participate in today. The goal of this podcast is to highlight the importance that fun has in our lives and relationships, whether it's growing up, present day, or in the future. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for this episode of Grow Up, Level Up. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Grow Up, Level Up, the podcast where we talk about the fun and games that helped us grow up, but also the fun and games that we choose to play and participate in today. I can finally nail it. Today we, of course, have another special guest. Before I get into who they are, just a bit of housekeeping. Don't forget to follow us on all our socials at Grow Up Level Up and at SamsonXP for all our updates, as well as join our Discord. I'm trying to do a better job of being more active in there, but the Discord will be a place where you will get all those new announcements as well as episode discussions and maybe special behind the scenes tidbits, as well as just chat with the community about maybe the episodes or what games you're playing or what hobbies you're getting into. I'm trying to build out this community because that is very important. So without further ado, our guest today is a longtime friend of mine. I've known them for almost a decade, at least.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Yeah, but we've recently reconnected over our love of, you guessed it, video games. So without further ado, please welcome Graeme Thomson.
Hello.
Welcome, Graeme, to the show. It's your first time doing a podcast in a video format, at least. So let's have some fun, yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Hell yeah.
So my first question, putting you in a hot seat.
Oh.
But it's pretty chill.
It's hot in here.
What did you bring to the podcast today to drink?
I brought an iced coffee that I thought had enough ice in it, but it's kind of just lukewarm.
Oh, so...
but it's all right, because I love coffee in any of its forms, so it's all good.
But it's like, coffee's only usually hot or cold, not lukewarm.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you take like that sip after you've let your coffee sit for a while, and it's like kind of disappointing, but at the same time, you're like, it's still coffee.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Speaking of coffee, I also got the classic caffeine drink, Coke Zero.
Ah, yes, very good choice.
Yeah, I've been drinking more soft drinks since it's summertime when we're recording this.
Mm-hmm.
But Coke has always been my go-to.
Nice. And Pepsi never
cheers.
really got there. Oh yeah. Cheers.
For audio listeners, we just gulped. So you can imagine that. And my second icebreaker question for you. It's a tricky one. What are your top 3 games of all time?
We talking just like games, like just video games, or any game?
Let's do any game, because I know you're a seasoned person. Gamer.
I do play games.
Yeah. So what are your top 3 games of all time?
All right. Well, I'm gonna go from 3 to 1.
Sure.
So 3 would probably have to be a board game.
Oh.
It's called Diplomacy.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 would have to be Dark Souls 3.
Okay.
Though at different points in time, it could be any of the FromSoft games, but Dark Souls 3 is the one that I usually come back to the most.
Okay.
And number 1 would have to be Starfinder, which is a version of Pathfinder, which is a version of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
But it's specifically like sci-fi version.
So Starfinder, Dark Souls 3, and Diplomacy. Can you?
Yeah.
I kind of know what Dark Souls 3 is. It's a like a really hard game, but
yes,
that's part of the appeal. Is you want it to be really hard to overcome that challenge and then go on to something even more difficult, and that's the game. But can you explain like what Diplomacy is? I think I learned about that in social studies.
Diplomacy is kind of a weird one, and it's definitely not like a game I would recommend to play all the time, but it's very fun, like once a year maybe. But it's kind of like Risk. So it's the map is structured the same way, sort of. It's like you have like different countries. They all have different armies, and you occupy different spaces with your military units or whatever.
Mhm.
Except the difference between, well, in Risk, you have to roll a die to see how much attack power you have versus like defense rolls that the other people have.
Mhm.
In this, in diplomacy, you cannot make a move without agreeing to make a move with somebody else at the same time. So instead of just rolling, everyone has their turn. There's a whole phase where you basically just make allegiances and plan out orders to give to your troops, and then all the orders happen at once. So say you made a deal with somebody to, like, I don't know, block off like an area of the map for another player to go through. Maybe not even just attack them, just block off an area of the map.
Sure.
You both have to agree on that, and it has to happen at once in the orders. But they can decide to change their minds at any time. So you can have an order ready to rock, and then after 30 minutes of negotiations with your other players, you can just be blindsided completely, and it is absolute chaos. It's amazing.
So it's Risk, but with a little bit more, I don't want to say social deduction, but like social, like debating and all that.
It's like
lawyering. I swear there's a word for that.
Yeah, no, 100%. You really see like how devious your friends can be over because usually it lasts like 9 hours, and that's like why I wouldn't say you should play it all the time. But yeah, it's good.
Honestly, that kind of got me more interested. I'm gonna check that out after the show.
It's sick. It's very cool.
Diplomacy. Okay. And your other game, Starfinder, you said?
Yeah, best game of all time. Yeah, Starfinder I think beats out Dungeons and Dragons and any other tabletop RPG for me because it gives players the most amount of freedom to like be creative with what they want to do. Because Dungeons and Dragons is just like a game about imagination, right? Just be creative with the game.
Yeah.
But I feel like as it's gotten more it's gone up in the versions like D&D 5e, they kind of lost a little bit of that freedom and replaced it with, I think, a bit too much just like accessibility.
Gotcha. Like too many rules.
Yeah, too many rules that make characters all sort of feel the same. Right. Whereas Starfinder, I feel like every character is vastly different. Even the way you play, like if you had two people play the same person, like it would be entirely different to watch, like how they did it.
Oh, interesting.
And you can make it as accessible or difficult as you'd like as the GM. So
cool. So it's awesome. Like do you think that comes from that it's like a little newer, so people haven't like broken the game yet, or?
Yeah, maybe.
Kind of a little nerdy game design talk here.
Yeah. I find that because Starfinder, I can't even remember when it came out. I think it's like 2019, maybe.
Sure.
I could be totally wrong. Don't quote me.
Sure.
It came out a while ago, and I think the thing about it is that you're intended to be broken.
Oh, okay.
Like the player is, I feel, at the most powerful in Starfinder. Whereas before it's like, the DM can throw whatever the heck he wants at you, and like it's all crazy dragon, you're just this guy. But like in Starfinder, you're like, you are the guy. Like whatever guy you are the guy. Like you are a hero. Yeah. Like leveling up in the universe is like you're like ascending like galactic power scales that like most people never get to like achieve in that universe. So like you get to be really strong. And I think that's what's the draw about it. Because like a new player can jump in, learn the rules in like 20 minutes, and then suddenly just be like throwing galaxies at people, which is crazy. Okay. If you wanted to. Of course, it can be a lot more grounded than that too. But that's just like the insane top level stuff.
It's the imagination part that makes it appealing, right? Like you can go beyond.
100%.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I'll have to check that out too. Starfinder. And that's a relatively new game, 2019, you said?
Yeah, but it's based on like Dungeons and Dragons almost entirely. So it pretty much the concept's been around for it since like, I don't even know how old Dungeons and Dragons is. Supremely old.
Older than us, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
We're young.
you still roll a d20. You still get told if you pass or fail. So it's same game at heart.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'll bring it up with my D&D group back home.
Nice.
So as you can tell, the topic of this episode is going to be more focused on tabletop games because that's Graham's specialty, even though he's what is it? An appreciator of all the arts, a
Yes,
connoisseur.
I am
of
an
all.
art enjoyer. I like art of all kinds.
Yeah, but today we're gonna actually dive into the more the tabletop game side because that's also a big part of gaming in general. But when people talk gaming, they think like, oh, like people with headsets on in a dark room with their
Yeah.
RGB controllers and computers. But tabletop games are same but different.
Yep.
They do. Yeah, we'll dive into it. We'll dive into it.
Cool.
But
Cool.
a little bit before that, I want to maybe talk about how we kind of met and bonded.
Yeah, sure.
We kind of met each other at a local summer camp many years ago. And we actually kind of got to know each other through a little game called Magic the Gathering.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a fourth, that would be number 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Are you still playing?
Yeah.
Wow. Lord of the Rings, right? The newest one.
The newest one looks so cool. It's the first set in a while where I've been like, ooh, I could actually add something to my 2 decks. Most people go like wide with how many decks they build. I've like fully condensed. I have 2 commander decks, nothing else.
Yeah.
I will never build another one. There are only 2 strategies I like now.
Fair enough. I mean, it's like that's kind of the fun of it is it's an expression of yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's not just like getting the new card or picking the thing that's most fun. It's finding your identity through a deck, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like Graeme and I played a bunch of games. We play a lot of video games. And now he's here to talk about board games. So I guess broad question, how have games impacted your life?
I would say pretty heavily. I think games for me, like if I were to like really, how would I say, like, I think they impact like how I view challenges and how I view like taking on just like a day in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like I think about like when I go to like sit down and like play a game, like I want to be able to like be free and creative, like no matter what I'm doing. And I think I like to bring that, or at least I like to think that I bring that to everything that I do. I like to make things free and creative.
Okay. So games aren't necessarily like, well, you mentioned the word challenge, but you also mentioned,
well, challenge. Sorry, you
you mentioned the word challenge. You said like it's how you view today is like a bunch of game challenges, but it's also free and creative. So a challenge is kind of structured. It's like here's a goal, you got to do it. But then where does the freedom and creativity come in?
Well, I think like a challenge, like challenges can have structure for sure, and like especially challenges in games. Like games have like a very finite set of rules, but like if we're talking about like how that like gets brought into real life, like life is always just sort of like a challenge, right?
Yeah.
But I think the freedom and creativity comes in how you decide to view and take on that challenge.
Okay.
And it's really up to you how you want to complete every day, you know?
Interesting. For the video listeners, I was burping. That's very interesting. So but that also depends on the game because there are some games that have really like structured rules, I guess.
Yeah.
And there are some games that also like, allow you to have a little bit of freedom to solve that challenge. Is that an aspect of a game that, is that point like one of the reasons why you're drawn to those types of games? Like
absolutely. Because like, well, if we're talking like, because like you said, like games with, like really defined rules and like really like closed setting basically is like Dark Souls is one of those games.
Okay.
Like you can only do 4 moves basically.
Right.
And the bosses are always going to do the same things. So it's but there's always different ways to tackle each one. Like there are different weapons even though each weapon has 4 moves. So finding ways within stringent sets of rules to like express yourself and how you play a game or how you take on a day, I think is really important. Because that's what makes it fun in the end. Like, I'm not going to go back and play Dark Souls for the. I don't even know how many times I've played through it now. Like, I'm not going to go back and play the same weapon every time. Like, I'm going to pick a new build, do something new every time, and then like it's always going to be the rules of the challenge will always be there, but my way of tackling it will be different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going against the same challenge, but you have this knowledge and this creativity to do the challenge differently. And that's kind of how you frame your day by day. It's like, oh, I got to get to work. But how will I get to work?
How will I get to work? Yeah.
Am I going to pick up some breakfast on the way, or should I like walk? I guess, yeah.
Hot coffee, cold coffee.
Lukewarm coffee.
Lukewarm coffee. Always Yeti mug, though. That's the only stringent rule of reality. Yeti mug all the time.
It's true. I have a smaller yellow one. I love it so much.
I wish I got the yellow one.
Yeah. Hey, black is very professional.
Yes, it does look professional.
So, like, growing up, what have you considered the greatest game of all time? And actually, I'll add a little extra onto that. Would you still consider that the greatest game of all time today?
Ooh, okay. Growing up, best game of all time. That's really tough.
It's a big question. We can always come back to it as well.
That's true.
I want to stew on it.
Because, like, I definitely wouldn't say it's the same game I think is the best video game of all time now. Because, like, when I was a kid, I never played D&D. I never played Dark Souls. In fact, I never beat Dark Souls until I was, like, 19. I gave up on it completely. I thought it was
retired.
A piece of crap. Orange Sign and Smoke suck.
Yeah.
But, oh, man. I think I'd have to say the best game of all time would have had to been Mario Kart Double Dash.
Oh, okay.
I played that game with every single friend I had, with my brother, with my cousins. Everywhere we went, we just play Mario Kart Double Dash and Mega Man 2. So I'd actually put that as like a side grade. both are
shared
in
pedestal.
Shared pedestal, because I think I put in the same amount of time with both. Because Mega Man 2 was like, I'd play that by myself a whole bunch, but then Mario Kart, I'd play with other people a whole bunch. So.
Oh, okay.
So like different, same pedestal, different rooms for each pedestal.
Sure. Oh, that's actually interesting you brought that up. Is one is a game you play by yourself. The other one is a game you play with your friends or with your brother. So like those are two different games, but they also serve two different purposes.
100%.
Mega Man is more of that creative challenge actually that you were talking about now, whereas Mario Kart is the social experience. And
exactly.
I definitely resonate with that. Like my brothers and I played a lot of Smash.
Nice.
Growing up, so always good, those Nintendo games.
Oh, Nintendo games are the best for that.
Yeah,
bringing people together.
Yeah, that's true. And that's also a big part of like why people play tabletop games and like I guess online or in person multiplayer games.
Oh, absolutely,
brings people together.
Yeah, 100%.
What game do you think had like the biggest influence on your like development growing up?
Well, that one would have to be Mega Man 2, and then for the same reasons, Dark Souls when I first played it when I was like 11 or 12, because I first played it when I was really young, fully gave up, and that was the same thing with Mega Man 2. It's like literally the exact same story twice. I do this all the time. I'm the same all the time in my life. I'll try something, I'll fail at it, I'll wait a bit and be like, you know what? I got this. Yeah. And then I'll fail at it again, and then I'll go back and be like, I got this. And then eventually I'll actually got this, but it takes a bit. So yeah, like Mega Man 2, I never made it past even like the first boss, like ever. Never even the first guy.
Yeah.
And it took me like years to finally beat it, but I like the I don't know, maybe it was like the music, maybe it was just the way that Mega Man looked, maybe it was like the enemy design, like how colorful it was. I don't know, but I never like stopped enjoying failing at it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then, so like, but then Dark Souls, and I think maybe the reason why I never finished Dark Souls the first time was because it was a much more bleak game, and I wasn't like a lot of the themes in that game are pretty dark and mature.
For the people who aren't familiar with the two games, Mega Man's like very colorful. You're like superheroes,
super like high energy music going on at all times.
Lasers, is rock and roll music.
Yeah, rock and roll music, 16-bit like action packed greatness.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's cool to kids. I definitely remember.
Yeah, it was sick.
That. And then Dark Souls is like kind of the opposite. It's like
you're like an
gothic
undead man or woman or person with no purpose in the universe, and you're basically just walking around being told, "Hey, go do stuff," and you're like, "All right." You just meet people on
you're like
the
not
razor's
a hero.
edge of sanity.
Yeah, you're like not a hero. The graphics are all gray and black and smoky.
You're like you look like beef jerky. That's like the community meme is you're a beef jerky man in the first game. Like you just
That's true, but for some reason it kept you like thinking about it and coming back after all these years. Dark Souls, that is.
Yeah, and I think it's like there's an allure to like the way the characters are in that game, because there's not a lot of character interaction.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came back to it, I don't think I noticed it at all the first time because I really didn't think about it that much, other than like the game was way too hard and it wasn't that fun when I decided to quit. But when I came back to it, I found I remembered all the interactions I had with all the characters and all the item descriptions I had read, like fleshing out the world I was walking through. And taking it a lot more slowly the second time was just, it was so good, because you get to these points, and like a lot of these like the characters in the game, they're on a quest not dissimilar to yours, but they don't always have like the same goals. And you get to like certain moments and there's such highs and lows in their character development. It's so good. It's so good, but you have to put in the effort to find that out.
Okay. So I think that the like buzzword for that is like world building.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Like the world is very built out. There's reasons for everything to be there. It's like I don't know, this can, if we all leave and this can stays here, somebody else walks in, they'll be like, oh, somebody was having a Coca-Cola in here, and they weren't told that. It was discovered, more or less, I think is the word.
The great Coca-Cola can.
I know, right? 0 calories. Very good.
Ooh.
Looking for that Coca-Cola sponsor. So that's a very interesting, like unique video game thing that I don't think exists in like movies or music much.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, I think music, like TV shows can get there, I find. I'm not really a huge movie guy, so I don't watch a lot of movies, but I think it's because it doesn't give me that experience all the time. I think the first part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe nailed it. They did really good. That's why I watched them all.
Yeah.
But I think they've kind of fallen off with that too.
Yeah, gotten pretty generic.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty cringe lately, but but I think music also gets there though. Okay. Music definitely also gets there.
Like the discoverability kind of part, or
and in some ways like world building.
Oh, but interesting.
Because like you create people create these like beautiful soundscapes, and every album has like a story associated with it, and it's fun to like pick that apart. And you kind of have to do it the same way you do it in Dark Souls. So you have to put in the effort to find what's there.
Gotcha. Like it's there for you to
discover.
Oh,
and you can delve as deep as you want.
Yeah.
Like you can stay on the surface of it. You can go all the way to the bottom, figure out the whole thing. It's up to you.
Interesting. So actually, that's one thing I didn't mention about Graeme. He's like a big musician.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I say bluff, but no, you're like a very talented musician as well.
I played piano for a very long time. I teach piano as well. I listen to a ton of music. Usually it's on the weirder side. I tend to stay pretty far away from popular music and stuff like that.
Ariana Grande is like, get out of here.
Not that they're bad, because I think Ariana Grande is great, but it's like she's great, but I like other stuff more.
Fair enough.
Like Beyonce, great.
Yeah,
I like other stuff more.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think people always associate like I like weird music with popular music sucks. And I'm like, no, everything is good.
Yeah, that's a sad stereotype. Is like, if you really like that underground stuff, you can't like the Justin Bieber music. But in reality,
dude, I know like all the lyrics to like 7 Taylor Swift songs.
Well, because
because of camp.
That's actually true. Taylor Swift is on another level as well.
That is true. Yeah, she's got some cool stuff.
Cool. I never actually thought about music that way, but now that you mention it, it is like when you repeatedly listen to an album, you pick up on themes, you pick up on stories, and not just through the lyrics, like with the instrumentation, like all that is part of world building for an experience.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. I'll have to listen to some albums again,
different
ways. So we're going to do a little flip flop here.
Okay.
We brought you on here to talk about tabletop games, even though we just splurged on video games. But like the topics of world building and challenge, and being creative going around that challenge, that is all kind of maintained in video games, at least through like a hard set of rules that can't change, because you can't. I mean, you can, but you can't go to a video game and be like, I'm actually gonna not play by this rule. I'm gonna play by that rule.
Yeah.
And you can like cheat your way through a video game. You can, but that's not the way. It's harder to.
Yeah,
that's my point. For
you have a certain
tabletop
set of skills.
Yeah, certain kinds of lines of codes.
Boom.
Lots of typing noises.
Yeah.
So in video games, like the rules are very structured, and that's kind of the appeal of it. Like lots of people like video games because it's hard to cheat. The rules are very clear, and most of the people you're playing with are within those rules.
Yep.
But for tabletop games, it's just a bunch of objects in a box most of the time, and the rules are kind of maintained by the person. So what about tabletop games draws you to that? Like,
when you say tabletop games, do you mean like strictly tabletop RPGs or like other tabletop games?
Let's expand it to like any board game.
Any board game. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it comes in a box, has cards, dice.
It's a tabletop game.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. Played on table, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, like tabletop games are really cool because they can be like all across the spectrum with like I'd say like D&D is on like the far far end, and then like I don't know, like a game like Risk or something, because that's what I'm thinking of now. Monopoly,
Uno.
like is on the other far end where like you can only do a certain set of things in a turn, right? So I think that the beauty of tabletop games is like you can have an experience anywhere on the spectrum of like stringent rules to like it's all in your mind, which is they're both fun. Like it's all good.
All different. So like what kind of tabletop games, and we kind of talked about it in your top 3, what type of tabletop games do you enjoy the most?
I enjoy stuff that is a good mixture of lots of rules and lots of freedom and creativity. So like that is, and I think diplomacy, I think my choices diplomacy and Starfinder are exactly that. They have lots of rules, but at the same time they all come down to talking to and communicating with other people and creating situations for yourself. Like in diplomacy, you have your negotiations with your other players to get to be able to maneuver your troops and eventually conquer whatever area of the world you're in. And then D&D, your character has like a backstory that you've created. Like it's all up to you. Like sure, you have a sword that deals like in D&D you have to roll dice to deal damage. So you roll like a D6. Like sure, everyone's got a sword that rolls a D6 of damage, but your sword is the only one from your uncle Farkas who lived in the peat bogs, you know, and charmed a dragon or something.
Wow. Like, and that doesn't like change your role in the end. It's
no, it's just like.
But the fun is the story that comes along.
Yeah, and like it's a collaborative story, and I think that's the same thing with diplomacy. It's a collaborative event. Like you have to work with people because like. And it's the same thing with like a player and a GM or like a player and a player. You have to be willing to meet people like on their level to be like to be successful in the game. And I think that's like the whole part of the fun for me.
Okay, well, I'm hearing that it's not necessarily even the game themselves or the themes; it's the people part.
Yeah, it's like the interaction. I think like I guess the games are just like a canvas for that, really.
Oh, wow, very enlightening. I guess it is. I never thought about it that way. The games are almost not secondary, but they help with the social interaction part.
Yeah.
Like everyone has the same rules, and we're all working either together or against each other within those rules. And that brings people together.
Yeah, 100%.
Very cool. Would you say that's the same thing for like all tabletop games, or just the ones that you like are more social?
I think so. Yeah, because like even in a game of what's like a card game, like a simple card game, like
Uno.
Yeah, like Uno.
Blackjack. Yeah.
It's still all about like what's more fun, like running out of cards or being like pick up like 25, you know? And then like the politics of being like, hey, I've got this big card, like I'm gonna make you draw the whole deck, like you're never gonna win, like who should I do it to? Like those are the best parts because like all sorts of shenanigans come out of that.
True.
It's like when we play like Magic and like remember that one card like Lord of Extinction. Everyone used to play it except for me and Andrew because we had like Dragon decks or whatever. But you guys had that one.
Yeah, I think I still have it.
It's just a dude that deals like it deals like insane amounts of damage.
Gets bigger in from the cards in your discard pile. Right?
Yeah. And it's just a big creature. It can wipe people out in like one hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember like all the times where it was like either you or Carson or Nico who had this thing.
Yeah.
And we'd all just be bartering to like not die by its hand. So like, and those are the best times, man. The best times.
That's true. And like in reality, it's just a piece of cardboard and art, but it was the like the theming and the build up to it, and like everyone's just getting riled up on this concept that made it fun. And it's like the interactions that make it super memorable.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh man. That honestly, that kind of, what is it? Lots of nostalgia just hit me.
I know. As soon as I mentioned Lord of Extinction, I was like, oh, all those times in like my parents' house or like Andrew and Carson's basement or camp. Oh, yeah, the best times.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff only happens in like tabletop games. Well, I can't say only happens, but like those kinds of like memories happen because of tabletop games, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Like, because we're all agreeing on like, especially with like Magic and D&D and like tabletop games, you're kind of agreeing on a reality to be in. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Like in Magic, you're a planeswalker, and like you have your deck of spells that you're gonna cast, and everyone
planeswalker were wizards.
Yeah, wizard. Yeah, you're like a wizard. You have a bunch of spells.
Yeah.
And like and D&D, you're agreeing to be a different person for a while, and like not role playing games, other like tabletop games like in Risk, you're a military commander.
That's true.
There's like a bird game that I was playing. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's really fun. I think
Wingspan?
Yes. Yeah, I was playing Wingspan. I played that a bunch of times now. But you're a colony of birds. So like everyone has to agree that like you're following that set of rules, and that's like sort of the mindset you're in.
Yeah. No, that's true. And
creates those unique experiences.
Yeah, the role playing also gets fun in that. I was thinking of Seas of Havoc from our friend Sebastian.
Oh, yeah. I never got to play it.
Oh, hey.
I wanted to.
Come on over anytime. I got a copy.
Yeah, I want to play it so bad.
Let's set that up. But yeah, you're like pretending to be a pirate, and like the pirate theming is fun. It's part of the game, but it's also fun just to be like yarg and shoot cannonballs at each other.
100%.
Fun. That's a big draw of like in-person games that are harder to do in like video games or like movies even.
And that's what I would say is what draws me more to tabletop games than video games these days.
Oh, okay.
Because it takes a lot for a video game to make me be like, oh my God, I want to play like 50 hours of this. It takes like one text message and like a time setup for me to want to play like any tabletop game for hours. Like it doesn't even matter the game. Cool. Like it's just so much more of a draw because like it's just fun.
It's the so it's the in-person part, it's the setup and the coming together that you really look forward to.
And even if it's like an online like video call, I feel like at least for me it's got the same energy because I've played a lot of games online, so like I'm really used to it. But I can understand why like I don't know, like a Zoom call board game session doesn't work as well for a lot of people. But
have you tried that, a Zoom call board game? I've never tried that.
Me and a couple of our other close friends, Carson, Andrew, and Nico and his brother Paco. Yeah, we've been playing D&D online because my friend Nico moved to Ontario. So we've been playing online for months and months now. It's a bit harder to like get everyone's schedules these days, but
true, different time zone.
Yeah, but I feel like for us it feels the same. Like it doesn't feel any different because we're still like, even though we're not like in the same room, like we're all just still interacting the same way we would always do. So.
Right. Yeah, the energy's still there, kind of.
Yeah, the energy never changes.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. But if you had a choice, you would prefer like in person.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, face to face like this. That's kind of why, and we're getting to behind the scenes of the podcast here. I like doing these podcasts in person. Yeah, it's a lot more different. And like online still works, and sometimes it's more convenient, which we've done on this podcast. But in person, the energy is different for sure.
But you can like work off the other person. Like body language is a thing.
Yeah.
Like
sit in this studio together under these hot lights. Good thing. That's why I always tell our guests to bring a drink. You know, it gets hot in here.
It's true.
So what are some challenges that you face in tabletop games that maybe you don't face in like digital games or other types of games?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think the biggest one is like, especially for certain games like tabletop RPGs, you really finding a time for everyone to meet up is always hard.
Yeah,
and it just gets harder all the time. But and like in an online game or a digital game, you can just like yesterday, I was playing Remnant 2 with my buddy for like 9 hours. And we just like, yeah, it's the first time I've done that in a while, but it's good. It's fun because like you can just text your friend. You can be online in 10 minutes if you're both home.
Yeah,
and then boom, your plans are set for the rest of the day. Whereas like getting a whole bunch of people together, because I run a lot of D&D stuff that I make with as many people who want to play and like different groups of people, whoever's interested really. And sometimes it can take like, one time it took like 6 months to find a day where we could all just meet up for like 4 hours.
Yeah,
to run a quick D&D one shot where you go fight a pirate base. Like that was it.
Wow.
It was just to introduce them to D&D. It took 6 months.
Holy. Yeah. That's like, it's like planning for a vacation.
100%. No, it totally is. I have a spot in my calendar that's literally just like planning for D&D months in advance.
Oh wow.
Cuz like it's hard to make time.
Yeah. Well, it's part of growing up is like we get busier, we all have our own lives and relationships, but we still want to stay friends.
100%,
like we still want to have these experiences, but yeah, between work and chores and like we're at the age where some of our friends have kids now and they can't be out too late. That's like the in-person stuff is a challenge. And I'm trying to use the word hindrance lightly because it is a benefit, but it is one of the challenges of being able to do like in-person tabletop games and stuff. Like routine helps, I guess, like having that set time each week to come together. But even then, stuff comes up along the way.
100%. Like one group, like my main group that I play D&D with, which we're actually, and I feel like you would like this one. It's a Pokemon rule set, so we're all Pokemon trainers, and we've been playing this game for like 2 years now.
2 years.
Yeah, we've been in this campaign for 2 years.
Oh, that does.
And
sound cool.
All of ours last for a really long time. And
yeah.
I know how it sounds playing a 2-year-long board game.
The same characters
with the same character all the time. It's kind of like a TV show, you know. You show up every week for the next episode of the TV show.
Could
And sometimes there's like a pause between seasons. And that's okay. Like I say, like we've been playing like 2 years, but like there have been breaks. Like we haven't played in 2 months now, just because people have been away. It's summer. Like
true.
People have been. We each got sick 1 week after. Like all 5 of us got sick for like a week in a row.
Yeah,
like, it was hilarious. We're like, what are the chances?
We'll delay.
Yeah. But we always end up coming back together because at the end of the day, it's just a game, right? Like you can pick it up and drop it off whenever you want. But
it's true.
It's nice when there's the continuity too.
That's true. Yeah. There's like getting together is hard. I kind of resonate. We started a D&D campaign during the pandemic. So it's been going on for like 3 years now.
Oh yeah.
But like people have dropped off. I've come back in. I've stepped back. And like story arcs come and go. But yeah, that's kind of the beauty of these types of like big grand tabletop games. There's another name for it, right?
It's,
RPGs.
Tabletop RPGs or like TTRPGs.
Oh, okay. Tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
Role-playing games. They're like TV shows that you can always just come back to and continue on.
Yeah,
I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the nice thing too is like because you're playing with a bunch of your friends or even people who just want to play the game too. Because I know most people play D&D with just people that they find online and they play together, which I think is awesome. Yeah. Super cool. You can connect and play tabletop games in like seconds with like Discord, anything you use. You can find communities so quick, and most of them are very nice. Most of them. Some of them are a bit more like, but that's like up to you too. Like you kind of got to do your what is the word? Due diligence?
Due diligence, yeah. Your research.
Yeah, your research to see like what kind of group you want to play with too, and like what kind of games you're more into, like, because it's like we're playing Magic and we brought like our like funny like the goofy decks to like a tournament or something, right? Like you will have less fun. The people at the tournament will have less fun because they're there to win and you're there to like have a goofy fun time.
Yeah. It's making sure that you fit in with the vibe.
Yeah, 100%
of who you're playing with, and that's also part of the fun. And like competitive can also be fun as well.
Oh,
right?
100%.
So you just got to find the right people to hang out with. That was actually kind of my next question: is do you have any tips for people who want to get into tabletop RPGs or tabletop board games? You mentioned seeking out groups online, like through Discord or Zoom, even. Do you have any other tips for folks that want to get into like these grand adventures?
Well, yeah, for sure. I've never had to use or I've never had to like go on to like the community stuff before because like I've always played with a lot of the same people and like a lot of my friends have always wanted to try. But I think the thing like a great way to do it would be because like a lot of the YouTube stuff I watch, they have like links to all their stuff.
Okay.
And they have like Discord communities, they have like message boards. And they have links to like community pages, and they're all very easy to follow. Like I've gone like down the rabbit hole and like seen like what they like how easy it is to like get involved.
Okay,
but it's really easy, and and like people are always willing to run games. People are always willing to play. So
cool.
It's fun. It's not hard. It's just I think. Yeah, it's not hard.
It's not hard to find groups. The hardest part is the
finding the time. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Finding a group is easy. Finding the time is hard. And actually, I think if we're talking strictly like TTRPGs, and if it's like your first time trying one or like playing one, I think the hardest part is like being comfortable with playing because you kind of have to. You're acting, right?
Yeah,
you're playing a role, so. I feel like for a lot of people that's like tough to start off with, especially with strangers.
Yeah. But it's like being very vulnerable with yourself.
Yeah, you got to be Yeah.
Especially if they don't really know who you are like in real life. That's even trickier. I never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. At the same time, I've had our previous guest on the show, Travis, explained to me that like a lot of these types of games is you get out as much as you put in.
Absolutely. And I would maybe not like a step further, but to add to that, you also get out. You also gain more from the experience by just being open. Like you don't have to interact at all. Like you can be silent, but as long as you're, because like, and I'll give you one of my friends who I played with a decent amount of times. He rarely says anything throughout any of the sessions, but he's always fully committed to like the game and playing the game.
Yeah.
And he always has at least one or two like great moments throughout the campaign or the one shot or whatever.
Yeah.
That everyone always remembers because although he's not like fully like committing to like a role, he's playing within what's like acceptable to him.
Okay.
And I think that's equally important because, like, I think maybe like a stereotype of it is like you have to act like big, grandiose characters and stuff. But I think just like even if you wanted to just make a character that acted like you, totally fine. Totally fine.
Yeah, I think that's a pro tip right there.
Yeah, no, 100%. If you want to try D&D for the first time and don't want to like act, just don't.
Yeah, make yourself or tweak it. Like I made one character for one campaign. It was during a time I was very tired with work.
Yeah.
So this character is like, he's very shy, so he doesn't talk much. And he also has like I made it a lore accurate D20. So if I don't want to make a decision, I let randomness choose.
Nice.
So you can work around that, and that's like still valid in the game.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like the campaign I'm in right now that I mentioned with my friend Nico is I didn't have time to make up a backstory for my guy, but I was like, I'm Nico, I'm just gonna be like a half orc. I have like 2 marks on my temple, and one of my eyes is blind, and I have a locket of some random lady. Like, I don't know anything else, and he's like, I got you. So like you can always like work with the people you're playing too, and be like, because it's been so much fun being a person with no memory,
Oh,
discovering who my character is as I'm playing.
Cool.
And I'm basically just playing him like kind of like an aloof, like big, strong orc guy who really doesn't care for like small talk or anything. He just sort of goes around and hits things.
You can just play like the generic, the stereotypes of your character, and then
100%.
kind of work off of that. Yeah, you don't need to have it all figured out on day one.
No, and I think the best like day one, like I think people like really delve into like the most ornate backstory, which I think is really cool. Super cool. I love when people put in all that time and effort because it's so fun reading it and like talking about it with them. Because when you get people to create their own, because you're basically getting them to create an ideation of what is their like either their like vision of heroism or villainy or somewhere in between. Like they're creating a like themselves as a protagonist. Generally. When you start playing a lot, you start just making random goofy stuff. But for the first time, generally, people make like something that they like a character that they have like some real values in. And it's really cool to see that come out in like a goofy like sci-fi or fantasy setting. So yeah,
that's really cool. That's a really cool observation that like the first character someone makes is their like almost their ideal self.
Yeah, kind of. No, I 100% agree. Like, it's like ideal self, or on the flip side, like something that they view as like a version of themselves that could have been better too.
Oh,
like it's really cool, like to see like the variety of stuff that people come up with.
So it's the it's like the creativity of people that maybe you didn't even know was there.
Yeah, no,
but
exactly.
is unlocked by a game.
That is the best way to put it. Sure. Unlocked, 100%.
Unlocking a part of their psyche.
Part of their psyche. Whoa. But it's like it's totally true though, because like how often like during a day, like a normal day and like normal interactions, like are you gonna be like expressing like moral views on how you feel about like sometimes some pretty messed up stuff, depending on like what is being run as the story. Like if you're in like a horror campaign, you're like trying to catch like a killer, and like the person who's writing the story is like good at writing horror, like or like suspense or like thriller, or like all those like harder to write themes, like you can get to like the core of people's beliefs pretty quick. Because like there's a moment where like the game goes from being like, oh, this is a game, to like, and like, because I've run the game, I've run like Starfinder with a lot of new people, and like D&D with a lot of new people, and there's always a moment where they go from like, all right, this is fun, to like they're not them anymore. They're fully in. And it's the coolest thing.
Cool.
Like when the investment has finally paid off and they're like, heck yeah, I'm in this.
No, that's that as like an organizer, and that's a whole other thing we didn't get into, the GM or the DM, the master of the game. Like they're also building these worlds with these people that are playing the game, and when you have that payoff where it's like, oh, people are encapsulated, the way you presented the game and ran it, and the scenarios you set up, they're in it. That's a really good feeling as well.
It is, and like I love being a player, but I'm usually the DM or the GM or however people want to say it.
The master.
The master. the unbiased observer. But it is such a cool moment, and especially with like because I don't have time to write and make like really long campaigns anymore. So I've been making like one-offs, or the one I'm running right now is like 6 episodes.
Oh,
so
cool.
It's like, and I've run it that way so that if people can't make it for a certain week, you can just be like, it's the next episode. We can start it whenever we're all free. It's totally fine. And then you have like these little bite-sized nuggets. And then it really is like a TV show.
Well, hey, you're being creative within your set of rules and restrictions that you have, which is gaming.
100%.
This is gaming through creativity. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing so much about board or tabletop games and tabletop RPGs. I feel like lots of people want to get into them. I've had a lot of conversations with folks that are like, oh, like how do I get into D&D? It seems very daunting, which like if you ever seen the books, they're like
oh yeah, they're
inches thick.
They're dumb. I've like Starfinder, I bought like all the PDFs and I read through them like in like one summer. Took like 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
Took like 3 months. And like like books you can read in like a week.
Yeah.
But this is like you gotta like understand all the rules too.
It's true. It's like a textbook.
It literally is
History
learning a course. Yeah.
Wow.
Like it's nuts.
Yeah. Hey, but now you have that knowledge for life. Maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not getting rid of that anytime soon.
That's awesome.
Ingrained.
So for folks that maybe aren't so into tabletop RPGs but want to get into tabletop games, do you have any quick recommendations?
Quick recommendations, yes. Like just like games in general, or just like how to get into it.
Maybe specific like board games to get their feet wet on like coming together in person and playing games. Do you have any
100%.
recommendations?
My favorite little game is a game called Skull. It's very, very simple. It's very cheap. You can also just play it with a deck of cards. You don't even need to buy the game.
Cool.
But it's a betting game. You have each person they just have to win twice, and your object is to turn over a certain number of flowers without turning over somebody's skull. So if you turn over a skull, you lose a card from your hand.
Yeah.
And then when you're out of cards, you're out.
Cool.
But you only have to guess right twice. And you're betting with people, and you kind of have to read people. It's a ton of fun.
Cool.
Very quick.
Oh, that does sound very interesting.
It's the best. The game, if you buy like the game itself, it's got like fun art, nice like flower and like
Skulls.
Like they got cool like different like they have like they pick like national flowers and stuff.
Oh, that's nice.
Like it's all very well themed. It's really good. It's really
cool.
good.
Okay, Skull.
Skull's
I'll
a good
make
one.
sure to put the list in the description below as well.
Yep.
After this.
Catan, always good choice. Very simple.
That's a classic.
Classic one. Tons of people have it.
Mhm.
You can play it online. I'm pretty sure there's a way to play it for free online. I had the link at one point. I could probably send it to you if I find it.
Yeah, we'll find it in the description below.
Yeah,
leave a comment if you end up trying it out.
Yeah, Catan's always a great one. If you wanted to step up Catan, there's a game called Terra Mystica. If you really liked Catan, it's just Catan, except you have like slightly more steps. That's about it. Okay. And I really do mean slightly. It's like it's not that much more, but it makes it just a little bit more interesting.
It's like Catan 2.
Yeah, Catan
just
2,
add a little bit more.
Catan 2 with like classes, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I would say just like start learning a bunch of card games.
Oh.
Card games are like the fastest way to like play, like, because like you don't need anything other than a deck of cards.
True.
Like Dutch Blitz, great game.
Big Two,
yeah. Go Fish, Egyptian Corkscrew. Any and all card games I think are the best way to like really start getting into tabletop games, because I think after a while of playing a bunch of different like card games, because cards can have a ton of different rules, is you eventually start wanting something more, for sure. And that leads you to other tabletop games.
Okay.
Because I started with card games before I played anything else.
And like the deck of 52 cards.
Yeah, deck of 52 cards, get them anywhere, $1.
Yeah, they're like $1.
Yeah, they're like $1.
For unlimited games.
You can make your own if you really wanted to.
That's true. Just cut up some paper.
Just cut up some paper, you're good to go.
I have not heard of that. I've heard of people like taking the cards and like changing them into a game.
Yeah.
But I never heard of people turning it into like just a normal deck of 52.
Case.
In case you really can't make it to the dollar store.
You can't make it to the dollar store. You can cut up paper.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing all your bits of wisdom today so far.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. And of course on all the games. But before you go, I'm going to ask you 2 more questions.
Oh boy.
The first one is, what is your one piece of wisdom to leave with the world? Doesn't have to be game related. Could be anything.
I think try to bring. Yeah, I don't think this has anything to do. No, it has something to do with games.
Sure.
Just bring patience wherever you go. Give people more than 5 seconds. Give situations more than 5 seconds. Sit with it. Think about it. Be patient. Try to see where everyone's coming from. Yeah. Be open to change.
Awesome. I was being patient.
Yeah. It takes me a long time to figure out where my mind is trying to get me to. I'm not great with words, so.
That's okay. Hey, you were great so far today on the podcast.
Nice.
So yeah, be patient. Let it sit. Like you said, be patient with yourself and with others.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just
much more succinct.
I've been on that summarizing train.
It shows.
But that was very beautiful. So be patient, show it to others, show it to yourself. I don't remember if you said that, but
Mhm.
be patient. And the next question I have for you is a lot more fun. Don't worry. It's a
Okay,
lot
cool.
less stressful.
Thank God.
So let's say this podcast made $1 bajillion. I said million once, and someone said like that's not enough. We need more. So
Dang.
so $1 bajillion. And
Bajillion.
I want to fund your dream tabletop or video game project.
Ooh.
What would it be, and how would it work? We can workshop it a bit too.
Okay. Dream tabletop thing?
Yeah.
Oh man. Because I feel like I'd have so many ideas for video games, but like I don't know if I'd want to make a video game. But a tabletop game, I know a lot more about.
Sure, let's do
So-
that.
Oh man, yeah. It would have to be like we'd have to like build like we got $1 bajillion here, right? So we're
Pretty
talking
much.
big scale for a tabletop RPG.
How big is this table? Are you thinking?
Yeah. So, well, the table is going to be like normal size, but I'm thinking
Okay.
we rent out like a full castle.
What? Okay.
Like to fully get into the fantasy, like a full like immersive TTRPG where you're
Yeah.
like in a castle and part of the game is like oh man. I feel like even with $1 bajillion, you don't need that much to make a really cool.
That's
like-
okay. We got some surplus left over for the opening party marketing. That's
Yeah.
Don't worry about marketing.
So instead of just playing the game at like a table, like you have made like a fully interactive like castle setting with like tabletop RPG elements.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be really cool.
Okay. Like your like escape room comes to mind.
Yeah, like a very in-depth escape room
Okay.
where the stuff you do outside of like the board game you're playing
Yeah.
matters to like that universe. Like the stuff you're doing
Ah.
in the castle also matters to like what's going on in the game.
Okay, so this
Well, obviously with downtime too. Like
move
people
stuff
need
around.
people need to eat and like sleep and
It's still a
stuff.
game. It's not Squid
Still
Game.
a game. Yeah, exactly.
So the game takes place on the table, but at the same time, it's affecting stuff like in the castle
yeah,
as well.
and
Oh.
like different hints can be dropped throughout like that are like relevant to the story and like
Mhm.
like musical cues when you've actually like discovered things. Like have like a very interactive sim, like a
Yeah.
real life sim.
Okay, like very environmental.
Yeah, like
Cool.
be like environmental.
So would it be like you're playing here, you do a move, and then suddenly you hear like a sound off in the corner, and your whole group gets up and goes, "Look over there!" and they come backstage?
Yeah. Like
That'd be cool.
I feel like it would have to be less of like a combat, like a fighting centric type of story.
Mhm.
But yeah, like uncovering stuff at the table would change stuff in the castle, like you said.
Oh, cause and effect. kind
Cause and
of.
effect, yeah.
That'd be really cool. I think we can workshop that idea into something cool. Like apparently a castle in Scotland or whatever costs less than a house in Vancouver. We might be able to make it work.
Are you for real?
I just see these like posts sometimes that are like, check out this castle in, it's like probably like rural United Kingdom
Yeah.
somewhere, but it's like it's $1.2 million, and then you find like a house.
Oh, hey,
in
that's
Vancouver.
like a 3-bedroom house with half a garage.
Yeah,
in Vancouver.
exactly. So it might be doable. We don't, and you're right. We don't need our bajillion dollars.
No. Because really the castle would be the hardest part.
Yeah.
After that, it's just a bunch of creative writing and like
Yeah,
rigging
some
of like
props.
some props.
No, that's
A bunch
awesome.
of time to prepare.
Yeah, true.
That's about it, really.
You know, we might be onto something here in our future studio plans. So
Heck yeah.
blow this podcast up if you want to be invited to
D&D in a castle.
D&D in a castle. Graeme, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's been wonderful catching up and hearing that you're still gaming.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hardcore.
Yeah.
So as we close out this episode, if you enjoyed what you listened to, please leave a comment below. Give me a thumbs up. Give me 5 stars on all the podcasts. If you didn't like what you listened to, I would also like to know. So message me on Instagram or Twitter, or actually it's called X now. Instagram or X. Yeah, did you see
Huh.
they changed it?
I did not see that.
It-
I don't have Twitter, so I don't know.
Fair enough. It was Twitter a week ago. And
now it's X.
Now it's X. So message me
All
on X or Instagram or on YouTube. I would love to hear your thoughts, good or bad. Always trying to improve this podcast. Thank you again to Launch Academy for hosting this episode. we are recording in our beautiful studio here in Vancouver, Canada. If you liked what you heard, if you are a founder for tech startup and you want to grow, we'd love to work with you. So visit us at launchacademy.ca. If you liked what you heard, give me a thumbs up below. Give me 5 stars. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Instagram and X at Grow Up Level Up or at SamsonXP. Graeme, where can people find you if they want to mingle with you?
I'm not really on a lot of social media, but I'm on Instagram at Instagram1642.
It's borderline genius, the Instagram handle.
Yeah, it was borderline genius when it was the first number, and then I had to put 3 more numbers after it, so I just doubled down. But Discord would probably be better, and I'll join your the Discord server, so you can find me there.
Yeah, so if you want to meet Graeme, and run some D&D, like join our Discord, link below.
100%.
It's been so great to catch up with you.
Likewise.
Audience, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.